At the end of this video, I'm going to make a decision that will define how the final 2 weeks go. I'll show you the logic and you can tell me if you'd have done the same. It's the end of week 6, 2 weeks left on my cut ahead of my summer holiday. I'll run through each of these metrics, see what they're telling me, and what I'm going to do about it going into week 7. Now, considering the past 2 weeks and the challenges I've had, this one's been a good week. My weight, after averaging 76.6 last week, is now down to 75.9. So that's down 0.7 kilo this past week. For calories, I set myself 2,200 calories last week after seeing slow progress in weeks 3 and 5. I averaged 2,252 calories and 148 grams of protein. So I've been both over on calories and over on protein this week, which has been my worst week on macros to date. Now, food has continued to be crumpets and jam as a pre-workout, overnight oats for breakfast, chicken mince chili con carne, and then potatoes for lunch. And then it's either been a mix of pie, risottos, pastas, or roasts for tea as a family, or it's been another portion of my chili. So the protein shortfall has actually come down to the few family meals we've had this week that have been higher in fat than usual, which has then eaten into my calorie allowance and then left me without the room to make up for protein deficit later in the day. And I just hadn't planned for it ahead of time or loaded for it early enough. So that's a lesson learned. When evening meals are less predictable, I just need to hit the protein target earlier in the day before it becomes a problem. I was just retrospectively logging after meals. Now, the 2 meals fixed, 1 flexible continues to be a success for me, and the error on the protein front wouldn't have happened if there was a more serious end result like a photo shoot, where I knew that I had to stand in front of the camera, and I would have taken that behavior and approach a lot more seriously around my food and my tracking. And the likelihood is I would have eaten, particularly in these final penultimate few weeks, I'd have eaten the same meals 2-3 times a day. So I would have continued to either have had my oats, and now I would have had the 2 sort of main meals for lunch and tea would have just been the same for that consistency and repeatability of knowing what my macros are and the ease and convenience around it as well. Now, this weekend was also a kid's birthday party at a play farm. So the way I approached it was the same breakfast as I always do, and then I did an hour's walk for 8,000 steps before the family woke up. I then banked a really good solid chunk of my steps in for the day. Now, for this birthday party, I didn't plan or take food with us because I thought we would be leaving shortly after the party. But we ended up staying a lot longer because it was amazing weather. And so I had an ice cream late in the morning, and then we went back to my friend's house where she made pizza and a salad at 1 o'clock and then chili and rice at 6 o'clock. And that was completely unplanned, which isn't ideal for a cut, but we were visitors and our friends had arranged a fantastic day for all of the kids, so I politely controlled what I could. I enjoyed the ice cream as a treat at the farm with the rest of the family. I had 2 slices of pizza and a load of salad for the lunch, and then I had the leftovers. I had the exact same salad with my chili, but then I just reduced the rice on an evening. If I was offered more, I just politely said no, because I didn't feel the need to accept it. I was content. Now, I tracked all of this as best I could. It's very loose and it's not going to be accurate entirely, but it's based on my experience of logging today, and it's at least something rather than not logging at all. So I finished the day in control and I'm comfortable with my approach. There's no regret of overindulgence or anything like that because I know I've only got 2 weeks left. So I finished my day under on protein and around, if not over, my calorie target. But that's outweighed because of the behaviors I demonstrated, and it's 1 day I'm out of control across the 42 days I've been doing this. So from a food perspective, there's a few things that I need to incorporate in these fast final 2 weeks, but I'm letting myself a little bit off the hook because the consistency I've had up until this day is on point, and it's a forgivable 1 day off. For steps, against a target of 15,000, I averaged 14,920. So I'm not seeing that 15 exact, but I still consider that a box ticked. From a training perspective, it's been a really good week. The cold I was suffering with last week has passed, and I think that had been holding back my performance more than I realised. My leg session on Tuesday, for example, was really good, and it caught me off guard because the lower body sessions have been the thing that has been the struggle these past few weeks. So that's been a really good motivational boost. I was just like, whoa, I'm a lot stronger and a lot more capable than I was expecting to be. And that mindset and that buzz, it just allows you to then push yourself a little bit more because you know you've got it in you, particularly when it's first thing in the morning at 5:30 and you're getting into the gym and you're expected to just perform under a squat rack straight away. For water, so last week I was really loose on that water because I was distracted with workload, and so I told myself that I needed to track this week. And I know for a fact that I've been on 4 of my protein shaker bottles each at least each day, and they're 750 ml, so that's comfortably hit the 3 litre target on that one, so I am happy there. And then the final one, sleep. 6 to 8 hours is the target. It's the same as it always has been. For over the past week, I've averaged 6 hours, 48 minutes. Now, I said at the start of this that that is not something that is ever going to really improve. I'm a dad, so broken sleep with kids is part of the deal. So I'll take that as a win. I've never dropped below 6 hours average across this entire period so far. So I am consistent, and I'll take that as the win. And that's this week in a snapshot. And when I look at these numbers here, knowing that there are 2 weeks left, I've got a decision to make. Because this week has been a really good week, and I'm happy with the progress that I've seen. But if I think about the goal that I set out at the beginning, which was to end this cut at between 74 and 75 kilograms, I can expect myself to go down to between 74 to 75 kilograms. So that is the goal. There is still some way to go. Given the fact that I'm 75.9, I am just on the border there. Now, I'm going to caveat this before I go into the numbers and the crunching about the next few weeks, because visually, the difference between 74 and 75 is going to be negligible. You can see from my progress photos alone that the 3 and a bit kilos I've lost so far isn't that obvious. So I'm not going to obsess over the final number. I'll look the same on holiday either way, whether it's 74 or 75. But for the purpose of taking you through this, I'm going to go with the assumption that I'm going to be 74.5 kilograms the moment I step onto the plane. And I'm going to use that logic in these next 2 weeks here. So assuming that 74.5 is going to be my end goal, that means I need to lose 1.3 kilograms over the next 2 weeks. Now, if we move over to my weekly progress, so since the start, we can see, based on average, based on the performance I've had, including in these couple of weeks where I've stalled, I'm on average losing about ½ kilo a week with that fluctuation and that variance. So that's what my current deficit is giving me, is producing. Pace has slowed a couple of times, and over the past week, I gave myself that extra 100 calories, which has given me that extra boost of 0.7. So cutting down to 2,200 has just kicked that past week a little bit higher and given me that 0.7 drop, given that I only lost 0.2 the week before. Now, in a kilo of body fat, there is 7,700 calories. 1.3 kilograms, which is the amount I still need to lose to achieve that 74.5, is 10,000 calories. So 1.3 kilograms equals 10,000 calories. You know what? Let's bring it up over here. 1 kilogram is 7,700 calories. 1.3 is 10,000 calories. Based on my average of losing 0.5 kilo of each week on my history today, if I assume I'm going at the same rate for the next 2 weeks, that's 7,700 calories. ½ kilo times 2, 1 kilogram. Take that off from the 10,000 that I need to lose, that leaves me short 2,300 calories. So I need to find an extra 2,300 calories in the next 2 weeks to achieve that 74.5 kilogram goal, which equates to 1,150 a week. So I need to create an extra 164 calorie deficit on top of my current routine to hit that 74.5. Now, I've said before that I'd rather move more than eat less and take food out of my calorie allowance. So I'm going to introduce tracked cardio, which is 3 lots of 250 calories, low intensity, steady state cardio. So those 3 sessions of 250 calories equates to 750 total for the week. And although that's short of the 1,150 that I need to get each week, I saw an extra 0.2 kilograms drop this week, but purely from dropping 100 calories from 2,300 to 2,200 a day. And if I pair that same 2,200 calories with this extra movement, those two together may be all that I need to achieve that 74.5 goal. So just to run through the logic again, in case it wasn't quite clear, based on my history starting from the very beginning up until the end of week 6 where we are today, I have been losing a range of weight, 0.6, 0.8, 0.3, 0.5, 0.2 and 0.7 kilo per week, which is an average across those 6 weeks is about 0.5 kilograms, which is bang on the trend and the goal that I started with at the very beginning. I am 75.9 today. I want to be 74.5 kilograms the moment I step onto the plane, and I only have 2 weeks left to achieve that body weight. There are 7,700 calories in a kilogram of body fat. Now I need to lose 1.3 kilos of fat to achieve that 74.5 goal, which is 10,000 calories. Based on my current performance of losing half a kilo a week, for the next 2 weeks, if you assume that I continue as the same as is, I would only burn 7,700 calories, which means I'm 2,300 calories short, and I need to find that somewhere, which equates to a 1,150 a week or 164 calories a day. So I need to find an extra 164 calories for the next 2 weeks, every single day, to achieve 74.5. I can either do that by eating less, taking 164 out of my allowance at the moment, or moving more to produce or burn an extra 164 calories a day. I prefer to move more than eat less. I find it easier and more manageable than taking food out of my allowance. So I'm going to give myself a target cardio of 3 lots of 250. That's based on my own performance, my experience, and I know that that is achievable on the timescales that I can get in and around the gym on a morning. I'll still do my weight session first because I want to prioritize my energy and my effort and my fuel for weightlifting. And then I will finish the end of the session with the cardio, tick that over, and I will track it by my watch rather than the machine, just for a little bit of greater accuracy. These are not 100% accurate. It is a general rule of thumb, and that 250 calories will vary. Some weeks will be really easy, some weeks will be difficult, and the more sessions I do, the more efficient I will get at doing it. So it's just a general rule of thumb, but the moment my watch says 250 calories burn, stop, finish. Conversational pace, nothing intense, low intensity, steady state cardio. Doing those 3 sessions will equate to 750 calories by the end of the week. The problem with that is I need to burn 1,150 calories, not 750. The caveat or the condition I'm giving to that is I took 100 calories out of my food last week, and the end result was going from around about, there's a lot of noise here, but I've gone from 0.5 kilo to 0.2 kilo to 0.7. And I've jumped from 0.2 to 0.7, taking that 100 calories out of my food. So there is so much noise here that I can't digest that information. And don't want to go blindly into the next 2 weeks and overshoot myself. So as a starting point, I'm going to be conservative. I'm going to start with 750 calories, which when paired with that extra 100 I've already taken out from last week, that I am seeing the result of still, that may give me the extra that I need, which equates to 1,150 by the end of the week. And that is my plan of attack for week 7. Everything else stays the same. Food will continue to be 2,200 calories, 170 grams of protein, 15,000 steps, 3 litres of water, 6 to 8 hours of sleep, but 3 sessions of 250 calories or 750 calories burn and tracked by the end of the week. And that's how I'm going to split it up. And that's the approach for week 7. And speaking of week 7, the calendar's clear. The only thing that I've got coming up is a bank holiday weekend and a planned barbecue. So it's going to be the same approach as I normally do with the social. Same breakfast, light lunch, and then just prioritizing protein at the social. That will be the way to go. So if you want to start your own fat loss journey, you can do so with my 4 weeks of free fat loss coaching that I've got linked down below. It'll talk you through calculating your own targets, give you a training plan, it'll map out your nutrition, and then it'll talk about plateaus and managing socials. In the meantime, I just want to thank you so much for checking in and for watching this video. I hope you found it useful, and I hope it gives you an idea as to the logic. Now let me know below, would you do the same? Because I'll see you at the end of week 7 when we find out if this is going to be an intense push or quite a cozy coast to the finish line. I'll see you then.